little juicy nugget coming. I mean, in a way, surprised, not shocked, shocked, not surprised. I don't know how to characterize it, but it was. Well, I'll let you just kind of walk us through it because there's some layers to it.
Yeah, there definitely is. I'm a little bit surprised just based on the timing, right? But I'm also appreciative of the Dallas Stars ownership and management taking their time to make sure that this decision is the right one in the best interest for the club. You know, Pete DeBoer has one more year remaining on that contract, so it would have been easy to try and execute some changes to the roster, which they're going to do anyway, but to just let it play out. I mean, we know that Pete DeBoer is a good coach. Good man, stubborn. Oh boy, he's stubborn. And I think that stubbornness, at least in some way, shape, or form, probably got the better of him in this case, right? You wonder about the exit meetings with the players and the message that most delivered. I don't think I wouldn't expect any of those guys, aside from Jake Oettinger, to bury him. I know the veteran guys have high praise for Pete DeBoer, his approach, how he managed the team, all of that. So he's a winning coach, there's no doubt. But then you do look at his track record, and that's where it gets a little surprising now that he's been let go by the Dallas Stars, because, you know, Vegas hires coaches to win Stanley Cups. You know, they gassed Gerard Gallant in favor of Pete DeBoer because Pete DeBoer was available and they felt like he was a better coach. Cutthroat, sure, but they felt like Pete DeBoer was the coach that they needed to win a Stanley Cup. All right, well, then Bruce Cassidy is available. Okay, he's the guy that's going to help us win a Stanley Cup, and he does at the expense of Peter DeBoer. He's hired in Dallas. Again, the Dallas Stars thinking, well, this guy's decorated. He's got a resume as long as our arm. You know, he'll be able to take us to the Stanley Cup final. And I can tell you, and every team that maybe gets into, you know, the conference semifinals, which isn't saying a lot. I mean, there's so much hockey at the midpoint. But any of those teams, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, go down the list. I mean, they still feel like they should be in the Stanley Cup final. But I can assure you the Dallas Stars are watching and getting ready for Game 2 tonight between Edmonton and Florida, and they think they should have won the Western Conference. They do. They do. And they're not hanging it all on Pete DeBoer, but there's an element of the stubbornness, decisions that were made, all of that 100% factored into the decision ultimately that they made yesterday.
Retro, you had kind of said, with just how murky all of this kind of was, is Jake Oettinger, is he kind of like, what? Where's the room? Are they
felt off? Something felt off.
Yeah. So this feels like kind of a clear message that some guys in that room were not, obviously there's layers. You pulled Jake, you put our lives on the line with Casey DeSmith, whatever. And then you threw one of our guys.
You could have just
under the bus. You didn't need to do that post game. Feels like a bit of a message that there's some solidarity within that room.
Yes, I think that's a good sign that there may be a solidarity, but it's easy to rally behind a guy you don't like. And I don't know if they don't like him, but my question, Dregs, would be, Babcock was renowned as being the greatest coach to ever walk the earth.
Yeah.
But I always, and I don't think he was a bad coach or a bad person. I'm not talking about it, but there's coaches that get put into situations that are a lot easier to succeed in than going into San Jose last year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes these resumes, oh, this guy's a world-class coach. Well, is he? Or is he put in real easy, not easy, but good spots with teams that can succeed? Yeah. Is he just a product of that? And in this latest one, for me anyway, how many times do you get let go of good teams where you can't, like, that the smell test is not passing?
Yeah, and I think that's fair, Red. I do. And if I were an owner in the league and I was looking at replacing my coach and Pete DeBoer's name was thrown at me, I would do the investigation. I would find out, okay, what do you think he's missing? And one team will help another. I mean, everybody's got relationships with clubs, and, you know, maybe they're not giving you all of the dirty, dark secrets and all of that, but what was missing there? You know, and sometimes it's not just one guy, it's the bench. And I'm not hanging Steve Spott out to dry here. And I do think Alain Nasreddine has the potential of being a good NHL coach, head coach. I mean, that's kind of the mark on him. But like so many, especially the veteran coaches, they always like to have at least one of their guys. And Steve Spott has gone with Pete DeBoer basically every single job, right? Like, I mean, they're joined at the hip. So how much of that is influence? You know, I not to take it over to the Stanley Cup final, but I do see a difference in how Paul Maurice would use his assistant coaches as opposed to Chris Knobloch, who we know uses his coaches in Gulletson and especially Paul Coffey and that defense. So the feedback on social media was, well, this is just age old. Here's a good coach. You can't fire all the players. So it's easy to just throw this guy to the side. Well, it is, but I say the same thing every time. And I appreciate what you're saying, Rhett. And to back up what I just said, I would want to find out why, talk to people. Why isn't he able? He can win game sevens. He can help you win game sevens, but why isn't he able to get you back to the Stanley Cup final? Find out what that is. And if you believe that there's an issue, okay, well, then you move on to the next guy. But if you're the Dallas Stars now, what are you looking at? Mm-hmm. You've fired a good coach. Who's better? Available now?
I don't know. Like
that's the first thing I thought of, Dregs. It's like, that's commendable for Jim Nill. They've got their players' backs and this. Okay, so you fired the coach. You've gone to 3 straight Western Conference finals.
Yeah.
Unable. So now
a lot of winning.
The next coach is probably less tenured.
Yeah.
At this point, hard to imagine, right?
Everyone's going to be less tenured than him, right?
So it's like, okay, so you put your team first, but now what are you doing hiring a coach?
Because it's a window to win, right?
The next coach isn't as
but it's
good.
A window to win. I don't want to downplay the importance of a coach because I think a coach can be highly influential, but this is a veteran team.
Yeah.
Right? You're kind of you've got the bumper pads up with this group, don't you?
Yeah.
Come on, boys, let's work. You're trying to inspire and motivate. You're not teaching them how to play the game. These guys are veterans.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I do think the way the season ended contributed mightily into the decision that management 100%. And ownership have made here. And not because they lost to the better team, the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, if this series goes 6 or 7 games, maybe Pete DeBoer is still coaching. If that Oettinger situation doesn't happen, and I agree, coming into the segment, you guys walked us through it. We played the clip of Pete DeBoer post-game. That's what got him. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Ultimately, that's what got him. Coaches make changes like that, not all the time, but they do. And as he started, in essence, it was to try and spark his team. The guy gave up 2 goals on 2 shots. So you pull the goalie. All right. Well, I think most of us watching thought, okay, this is going to be short. Like he's made his point. He's going to put Oettinger back in the net. And then he doesn't. You go into the intermission. And I'm surrounded by goalies at TSN. And they're like, he's probably going to put him back in the net for the next period. And then he doesn't. And I think that supports the stubbornness that I'm talking about.
And I think that's
the Babcock feel.
That's
right?
The stubbornness. I think he felt like there was enough egg on his face that if he puts on, because Casey, I think he was questioning whether he should do it to begin with. There was maybe some justification for pulling him, but most of us, the 4 of us, we're not NHL coaches. I'm probably leaving him in because Jake Oettinger's our guy. And we can't lose.
Yeah, it's not a platoon. It's Oettinger and DeSmith.
You can call the timeout, rip your team, get your heads out of your ass, let's get going. And you leave Oettinger in. Okay, so he doesn't. And then he pulls Oettinger and they score on DeSmith.
Yeah.
That's when that stubbornness comes in. It's like, I effed up. I'm going to stick to it and just swallow it. That's what it looked like to me. Because I agree with you. I think he was one. The only catch for that is I think he was 100% going to put Oettinger back in. I never understood the timeout.
Pull
the goalie, use that timeout, and that right? Like it didn't anyway.
That was also part. Is Oettinger skating back to the crease and then gets hauled back. It's very
and who is that on, right? Like I mean, you would think. Casey DeSmith is out there. He knows what's going on. Like, one of the assistants
was he on the ice though?
Yeah, and where's the backup even on the ice? I don't know.
Was Casey DeSmith on the ice? Because if you are going in as the backup goalie and you've wasted the timeout as a time to get, it's not a lot of time anyway.
Right.
they call it 30 seconds. It's at least a minute if you're on the ice loosening up.
Yeah.
I never saw him on the ice.
No, I mean, he knew, DeSmith knew, but there was a lot going on there. And look, at the end of the day, I believe, and Jim Nill is going to face the music here. Maybe has he already spoke to the media? I don't know, but somebody's got to ask. Okay, it wasn't just the pull, but then as we've heard post game, he rolls over this guy, and you got 7 years left on that contract with Jake Oettinger. Like, all right, well, which way is this going to go? So I think that was a contributing factor for sure.
So now was trying to do the right thing by staying in the bench.
Sure. Yeah. I'm like, oh no, hold on. I got my ball cap on. All is good. Nothing to see here.
Hiding in plain sight. Yeah.
But now again, we've just had 7-8 teams, go through the coach search. So Peter Laviolette is available. I mean, it does feel like Dallas needs some experience. Torts? It does to me anyway, right? Yeah, you've got Torts.
There's plenty of coaches out there.
Yeah. I got a name for you. What about Jay Woodcroft? Because I feel like a lot of things being said about Chris Knobloch now, which is a lot of praise, were said about Jay Woodcroft until the Oilers did one of those midwinter fogs that we've seen a lot from them in the regular seasons that frankly don't matter. Mm-hmm. He was very highly regarded. It was his only head coaching job on his resume, but before things went south with like 880 goaltending, everyone thought he was a great coach. Like, where's he at? Would that be a guy you'd have on a short list?
Well, I mean, the list is only as long as you want it to be, and it gets longer when you're looking at the American League. You're looking internally at what you have. Mm-hmm. You're looking at the guys who've been shortlisted. Like, I don't know how many teams Woodcroft interviewed with, but more than a couple. Okay. Like at least 3, at least. So what about those teams didn't mesh with Jay Woodcroft or vice versa? And I feel like, given the level of experience Dallas has, like, Dallas is a bench where you've got to have presence as a head coach, in my opinion. You got to have some swagger. You do. At least it feels that way. Lavi has that. But, and I'm not throwing Woodcroft under the bus. He's a very cerebral type of coach. But if you're going down that path, I mean, then you throw out, I'm hearing Derek Lalonde's name out there in relation to maybe other jobs, like assistant or associate jobs, his teams are looking at that now. Could he be a potential fit? Glenn Gulletson once was in Dallas. I mean, there's a guy that should get another look as an NHL head coach.
Does he have the presence, though?
I don't know.
You said it. Like, that's the one thing. We saw Glenn up close and personal. I think he's a real sharp guy. Yeah. But there are guys that you're like, he's going to be a better assistant than a head coach. And maybe he's been unfairly painted that way, but that's kind of
feels like it.
Right?
I mean, it's maybe unfair.
It doesn't.
You know what, though?
I know what. Go ahead.
Texas, you want somebody that's got that kind of, maybe a guy that put on some cowboy boots, drive a pickup truck, wear a collared shirt,
Longhorns on the front of the truck.
Yeah, the guy that, maybe you're born in Alberta, you kind of have that. Texas, push a guy over the,
dust off one of the Sutter brothers and get them out there right now. Let's go.
What we're whole staff. You can have 6 Sutters.
I think, to me, that team looks like a team that they need to. I think they're really good, but I didn't think they played that hard.
I agree.
Like, to me, they were not going, right? Agreed. And whether they're beat up or tired, I don't know what it was. And maybe they didn't like the coach. I have no clue. Yeah. To me, that group looks like a group of guys that need someone they really want to play for. They're excited to play for. This guy's making it fun, and we're enjoying it. Go, go, go. Like,
that's the other thing, too, is it's been 3 trips to the Western Final. So, I mean, this is maybe the straw that breaks the camel's back, but you might have been ready for a change regardless, despite how great the record is.
And the lame duck status plays in for sure. But I'm with you. Like, it wasn't like, I think the disappointment in Dallas has a lot to do with, like, it just didn't look like their best effort.
Lack of intensity.
Like, if you played your best and lost, okay, but it just didn't ever feel like that in the series.
No, I'm with you. Tyler Seguin started the series strong. Obviously, the breakaway goal. He had a couple in one game, and then he went quiet. Robertson took him a long time to find his legs and his scoring touch. He came online as the series developed later. Mikko Rantanen, was hit or miss in that. I mean, go down the list. They are smallish up front, to be fair. I mean, Rantanen isn't, but Jamie Benn isn't. But they do have some smallish type of forwards. So it is going to be interesting to see how they retool. And that kind of feeds into the speculation around Jason Robertson, right? Like, why would his name be out there? Why would it be? Well, the only reason it's out there is that you're embracing change. And if you're trying to do that by either adding a piece through free agency, you've got to create cap space, or via trade, you've got to throw something that is going to be decent bait out there so that teams know you're serious about change. And I think that's legit. And I think that's where all that Robertson speculation is fueled from.
And again, they've got a tight cap situation, and he needs a deal. That sort of adds pressure, just like DeBoer being in the final year of his deal. I don't know that you can keep everyone. Like, they got to pay Harley and they got to pay him.
Yeah.
There's probably not room for both of those guys to add to their cap.
No. And they invested long-term in, Johnson, Wyatt Johnson, right after acquiring Mikko and extending him. So they've got some big tickets to wrestle with. But, again, it's just, it can't be about the coach all the time. It can't be. But I think they're going to be one of the more aggressive teams. I think that they're open for business in terms of the ways they're willing to be aggressive. Maybe not specifically hunting for one thing, maybe 2 or 3 things to really shake things up there.
Hey, buddies, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.